I don't think it's a controversial statement to say that among the Atelier franchise, the Ryza trilogy has to be one of the more popular entries, and I can think of two very good reasons why. The characters, and the cozy summer adventures that Ryza and her friends get up to across the games. It's no surprise then that Koei Tecmo and Gust have decided to remaster the games, packaging in all of the DLCs while also including new content for people to discover. As a newcomer to the Atelier franchise myself, in fact my first entry that I played and finished was Atelier Yumiya earlier this year, I don't really have the qualifications to review all 3 games, especially not within the short review period that I actually had my review copy for. Thank you Koei Tecmo for the review copy, by the way. So in place of a standard review of the trilogy, I thought that I would do a video assessing the worth of the package and whether it's actually worth getting, especially if you've already played the games. Conversely, I also wanted to assess the value of this deluxe trilogy if you've never played the Ryza games before, such as myself. To put it simply, I would say that this package is worth it if you either love the Ryza games and you want more Ryza, or if you've never touched them before. This isn't the kind of upgrade you'd see from something like, say, Persona 5 to Persona 5 Royal, where the games are totally different in every way when compared side by side. However, I'd like people to come to their own conclusions about whether they want to actually purchase the bundle or the games individually, and so I'm going to be discussing in this video what you're actually getting when you purchase all of the games. I can't talk about every single minute difference from the original, simply because I've never played them, but I can tell you what is new in each game and give surface level impressions of those new additions. The footage you're seeing in the background now is the first hour of each of the games, and also some parts of the additional episodes that were added in the remasters. From a personal perspective, it was kinda wild to jump between each of the games at an incredibly quick pace and try to figure out what happened in between each of the games. Constantly going from Ryza 1 and seeing Tao for like an hour, and then getting to Ryza 2 and 3 and seeing him all grown up was a surreal experience to happen over the course of like 5 or so hours of my life. But with that tangent out of the way, let's talk about what's new in Ryza 1. The most obvious thing are the new episodes that are added. You can access these from the title menu immediately upon booting up the game, and before you start any of the episodes, the game does let you know that preferably either you want to be done with the main story or be about halfway through it before you play them in order to avoid confusion and spoilers. The most obvious example of this is the episode that takes place between Ryza 1 and 2, where we get to see what happens between the 3-year gap of the games. That episode focuses primarily on Ryza, Romy, and Agatha, and the antics that they get up to. These campaigns also give you pre-leveled characters with equipment already on them, however you will need to collect new materials and synthesize new gear if you are intending on doing that. And speaking of Agatha and Romy, both are actually playable now. Hilo is playable too, and she gets her own side story with Boss for you to delve into as well. They've also gone and added the equivalent of a training mode in not only this game, but the other 2 entries in the trilogy. Custom combat is a feature you gain immediate access to, which lets you customize battles and practice against various foes you've defeated thus far. Definitely convenient if you're looking to test out some new gear you synthesized or team synergies. One addition I can appreciate as a certified item hoarder in RPGs is the expanded basket and container space added to all 3 games, meaning you can collect to your heart's content without filling up your storage too quickly. All DLC and free updates are included, meaning that you have access to all of the character outfits straight away, and you gain access to the additional maps later on in the campaign. And that's everything I have to say for Ryza 1, so let's quickly move on to its sequel. Empel and Leela fans will be happy to know that not only are the duo playable in Ryza 2, but they've also been given their own side story to play through as well. I absolutely adore Leela's design, and her martial arts battle style is quite fun to use, while Empel's magical attacks and access to buffs and debuffs make him incredibly versatile on the battlefield. This side story takes place during the events of the main campaign, but the game does recommend that you finish the main story first before playing it. As for the main game, the same quality of life features seen in Ryza 1 are in this game as well, including custom combat and more basket and storage space. Fee now travels with you out on the field, providing mapping and healing in between fights, which I can imagine would prove quite convenient and allow you to spend more time with them throughout your journey. There's also improved spirit beast functions, and the requirements in order to view certain events have been changed to be more convenient for the player. None of these changes and additions are anything too big, but they do make the experience much more smooth for first-time players, and also for veterans looking to revisit the sequel, while also providing them a brand new campaign to delve into. Which leads us to the final game of the trilogy, Ryza 3. I know a lot of people are wondering if they updated this game's rather poor localization, and I can proudly answer that yes, they did. After comparing the dialogue in the remaster to the original release, it appears as if many lines which originally didn't flow that well have been corrected and now actually sound like how a person would talk in real life. Kilo returns as a playable character in this game, and Serene and Clifford star in their own side story while also now being playable. They're both incredibly fun to play as, and the banter between the two from what I played was enjoyable, even if I wasn't familiar with their characters beforehand. Other than that, the same general quality of life changes are present, with a new wind beast that automatically gathers ingredients to make acquiring materials less of a hassle. Some miscellaneous things I thought to mention is that the game runs buttery smooth on my PC at the highest settings, but that shouldn't be too surprising given that these are last-gen games running on my specs that you can see here. There's no English dub for dub enjoyers, so the Japanese language track is the default and only option. This was the case in the original releases, but certainly disappointing and a turnoff for others who prefer to play their games in that way. It personally doesn't bother me, as I always default to the original language of whatever game I'm playing, but I still thought that it was worth mentioning. More importantly, and this is the biggest disappointment of them all, but there are no upgrade paths to these remasters, nor any way to transfer your save files over from the original releases. You will have to pay full price for essentially the exact same games, but with all the DLCs and everything else I mentioned packaged in. That's why, from my perspective, I'd say that the trilogy is only really worth it if you haven't played these games before and are looking for the definitive editions, or if you're a hardcore fan looking to revisit the summer adventures with Ryza. But that's just my opinion. Hopefully by outlining the new content and changes to each of the games, you can make an informed decision as to whether you think it's worth picking up the bundle, or any of the games individually. Will you be picking the games up, or will you be waiting for a sale before taking the plunge? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you again to Koei Tecmo for the review copy, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.